Good morning, students. This is Harcharan Singh, PGT English, Cambridge International School, Dasua. And I hope you all are fit, fine, and healthy at your homes and studying well. Students, there are two textbooks, Hornbill and Snapshots, and we are reading Snapshots. Students, we are reading Albert Einstein at School, written by Patrick Pringle. This chapter is one extract from Patrick Pringle's famous book, The Young Einstein, that is a biography of Albert Einstein. This chapter is about his school days when Albert Einstein was studying in a German school, and how, because of his presence, always disturbed other students and teachers in the class, and he was ultimately expelled from the school. The chapter begins when Albert Einstein is in his history class and his history teacher asks him a question about the Battle of Waterloo. The question was, in which year the Prussians defeat French at Waterloo. Albert Einstein did not know the answer. The teacher told that it was done many times in the class. Then why didn't he know? He said, Sir, I must have forgotten. The teacher said, Did you ever try to learn? He said, Sir, there is no meaning and meaning of learning facts. He said, whatever we want to know about history or about any historical event, any date, name, place, we can find them in books. We can search encyclopedias and reference books and we can find them. So the teacher got very angry and he said, Einstein, you amaze me. And asked him, Don't you think that every time we want to do anything we can find in books? He said, Yes, sir. We can find everything in books. Then the teacher asked him about his own theory of education. What was the Einstein theory of education? He got nervous and said, Sir, learning facts is not education, but the education should be idea based. The teacher wanted him to elaborate this. He said, Sir, the questions are who killed whom? How many men were killed? Who won the battle? When was it fought? And at which place? Rather than the question should be why did they fight? That makes a sense. These types of questions are idea based, not fact based. His teacher, Mr. Braun, he got very angry and he said, Mr. Einstein, we do not want a lecture from you, and gives him a punishment to stay for an extra period after the school. He said, I know that will not make any difference either to you or to the school, but still you will stay for one extra period after the school. Then he asks Albert Einstein, Why do you come to school? He said, Sir, I do not want to come to school. He said, Albert Einstein, a disgrace and an ungrateful, unthankful boy who was wasting his father's money and his time. That day, Albert Einstein, he felt very bad because not only this day, all the days in the school are sorrowful and miserable. They are unhappy days. And that is not only that the only problem. The other problem is that his living place where he lives. He tells that the place where he lives, those are very poor quarters in Munich, and every day he has to go there, and his landlady, she beats her children every day, and after she beats her children every day, they create a lot of noise the whole day in the house. And On the weekend, on every Saturday, her husband comes drunk and he beats her. In this way, Albert Einstein is not happy either at the school or at his living place. Whenever he requested his father to take him back to Italy, his father told him that he cannot go until he finishes his school and diploma. Only then they would take him to Milan. Now, students, in the chapter, we are introduced to one more character, that is Yuri, Albert Einstein's childhood friend in Munich. And in the evening, when Albert Einstein and Yuri met, they both were talking, and while talking, they started discussing about their places. Albert Einstein was complaining about his place, the way his landlady and her children they make noise, and by the end of the week, her husband comes drunk and beats her. At this, Yuri, who lives with students, he tells Einstein that he was lucky. At least he has his own room. He said that is not enough. I mean, having a room, but that is among uncivilized people like the landlady and her children and husband. Then he said Yuri was at a better place because he was living among civilized people. Yuri on this commented that those students with whom he lives, they are not civilized. They all are uncivilized. Then he asked why. He said last week there was a fight among students. This is Yuri telling Albert Einstein that where he lives there was a fight among students and one student was killed in that fight. Albert was shocked at this. Yuri told that the one who killed, I mean the murderer, he was not given any kind of punishment. Rather, he was only given a warning not to fight again. And the student who killed, he is worried that he did not get any scar or any mark on his face, any cut that in future he can show as a badge of honor or a badge of bravery that he killed a boy or he has fought many duels and fights. And on this, Albert Einstein and Yuri, they both were worried about the ill mannerism of the students. They talked about the ill manners of students, and Yuri told him, "Don't worry, Einstein. One day you will become a good student." Albert Einstein said that he doubted it, whether he would become a good student or not. The next character that is in the biography of Albert Einstein is his cousin Elsa. She lives in Berlin where her father has a business and she came to Munich and she met Einstein. Albert tells his cousin Elsa that he is not able to pass the school exam and the diploma. He is not able to get school diploma that year. And Elsa on that told that there are many boys that she knows and they are more stupid than Albert Einstein and they easily pass the exams. Then what's the problem with him? I mean, there is nothing to do anything special. What he has to do is he does not need to learn anything. What he has to do, whatever is told in the class, he has to repeat everything back in the paper, and that is the only way to get through and pass the exam. And Albert Einstein said that is the only problem. He said, I am not good at cramming things. I cannot learn. I cannot remember the things. That is the big problem. And then she said that there is not a problem into that. You have to cram the things like a parrot. And in the exam, you have to write them back. That is the only way. But Albert Einstein, he did not understand that because he cannot learn the things. Then Albert Einstein was carrying one book that was on geology. When his cousin Elsa asked about the book, what the book was, he told that was geology, rock, earth, and all these things. That is about geography. And she asked him, "Is that in your syllabus?" He said, "No, that is not in our syllabus." Then she said, "I mean, you are not able to read your own books. What is the meaning of reading other books that are not in your syllabus?" She asked the reason why he was reading that book. He said, "I like it. That is why I want to read it." And that's it. She said, "I mean, will this book help you in your diploma or in your examinations?" Albert Einstein said he likes the book, that's why he was reading that. Apart from his interest in books on science, there was one more thing that he liked very much. That was to play violin, and he loved music a lot. Albert Einstein was very fond of music and he used to play violin often where he lived, his poor quarters in Munich, and whenever he played violin, his landlady would start shouting on him by saying that there are already her children, they keep howling the whole day, they keep barking the whole day, and that strong music and that noise that affects her nerves. So she shouts at Albert Einstein not to play the violin. Albert Einstein thought many times that it is not the children only who howl. This is she who make them howl. That is only because of her, because she made the most of the noise. After that, Albert Einstein met his friend Yuri again, and he told him that he should get away from Munich, and because he could not understand studies, he was not able to studies. He was not able to study, and he cannot do anything. That is absurd. That is no good. That he was wasting his father's money and he was wasting his time also. His friend Yuri asked him what he would do if he stops studying and stops going to school. He said, "If I go to my father to Milan in Italy, he would definitely send me back." There was no meaning of asking to go to Italy, or then he could not understand what the way was. He kept thinking, thinking, and suddenly his eyes gleamed. There was brightness or shine in his eyes, and he asked his friend Yuri if he knew any doctor. Yuri said, "Doctor?" He said, "I had never enough money ever to visit a doctor, so he does not know any doctor." He asked Yuri about the doctor because there is a plan in Albert Einstein's mind. His plan is, what if a doctor gives him a fake or duplicate medical certificate that he has got nervous breakdown? I mean, because of overstrain, overstress of studies, and because of pressure on his mind and brain, he has got nervous breakdown and he should not go to school. What an idea, Albert Einstein. So he asked his friend Yuri if he knows any doctor. He said there are many doctors who specialize in nervous system, but the doctor will not be ready to write anything about. I mean, how can a doctor give you a fake medical certificate that you are undergoing a nervous breakdown? He said, "I'm not sure. I mean, Yuri said, I will find a doctor. No doubt. There are many doctors. I will find one doctor. But the doctor will not be ready to write without any reason or without any valid reason because there is no symptom." Albert Einstein said, "Don't worry. If I will go to school regularly for 1 or 2 more days, I will definitely get a nervous breakdown." Then Yuri on this told him that you can never get a nervous breakdown. He said, "Don't worry, if I will continue to school for 2 3 days, I will definitely get a nervous breakdown." Students, What we read today, I'm going to conclude that. We are reading Albert Einstein at School, written by Patrick Pringle. This is about Albert Einstein studying in a German school and how he was expelled from the school. Today we read, after coming back from the school in the evening, Albert Einstein meets his friend Yuri, and they both are talking about their places. Albert tells him that his place where he lives, that is the place of uncivilized people. I mean, his landlady, her husband, their children, everybody is uncivilized. Yuri told, you have your own room, that is enough. Because Yuri lives with students. Albert said, Yuri, you are lucky that you live among civilized people. Yuri said, students, civilized? They are not civilized at all. Albert said, what happened? Yuri told him, last week there was a fight among students. One student during the fight was killed, and the student who killed him, he did not get any punishment. The authorities only gave him warning not to indulge in any kind of duel in future. And the student who killed, he did not regret, rather the only regret that he is having, that he did not get any scar, any mark, or any cut on his face that he can show in future as a badge of bravery, as a badge of honor to others, that he often fights and he killed one student. Then they discussed about students, and Albert said these students are very uncivilized. Yuri said, Albert, one day you will become a good student. And Albert said, I doubt it whether I will become or not. Then Albert meets his cousin Elsa, who lives in Berlin, where her father has a business. Elsa meets him, and Albert tells her that he cannot pass the exam, that is very difficult for him to get school diploma. Elsa advised him not to, take tension, not to worry. The only thing that he has to do is to cram and repeat whatever is told in the class, that is to be repeated in the paper. She said, I know many other boys who are more stupid than you, but they easily pass the exams. What you have to do is to cram and to pass. He said, that is the only problem I cannot do. She said, you have to do like a parrot. What is told in the class, repeat that in the paper and you will pass the exam. He said that is the most difficult thing that he cannot do. Albert Einstein was carrying a book on geology. When his cousin Elsa asked him about that book, she said, is that in your syllabus? He said, that is a geology book about rocks, earth and all that, but not in their syllabus. She said, then why he was carrying that? He said, I like it. Isn't that enough reason that I'm reading this book? She said, that will not help you in your exams and diploma. He was not reading the books that are in his syllabus, but he is reading other books that are out of syllabus. But he loved that very much. Apart from his interest in books on science, he was very fond of music. Albert Einstein used to play violin in free time. But whenever in his quarters in Munich he tried to play violin, his landlady would start shouting at him and would say, already those children are howling like anything. What he wants to prove by playing that violin, because that violin's music gets on her nerves. Albert said, it's not the children. He often thought, but did not say anything because that could create a problem. He often thought, these are not the children who howl, but that is you, the lady, who makes them howl. Then, next he meets Yuri, and he requests him that he cannot stay in Munich anymore. When he asked the reason why, because he told he was wasting his time and his father's money. There was no meaning of wasting time in school. He was wasting his father's money also. Yuri asks, what will he do then? He said, if I request my father to go to Italy, Milan, where they live, he would definitely not allow him. They would send him back. So there was no way to escape studies. He suddenly got an idea and asked Yuri, Yuri, do you know any doctor? Yuri said, no, I do not have enough money that I can ever visit a doctor. He could not understand what the plan was. Then he said to Yuri, he said, Yuri, Albert said, what if I get a nervous breakdown? He said, what? I mean, if a doctor gives me a duplicate fake medical certificate that because of studies, over stress, overstraining, I have got nervous breakdown and I should not go to school at least for 6 months. What about that? Yuri said, I know many doctors who are nervous specialists, but I do not think any doctor would write that. And that is not possible. He said the doctor would definitely write. He said, how? I mean, if you have not got any nervous breakdown, why will the doctor write? Albert said, don't worry. I will go to school 1 or 2 regular days and I will definitely get a nervous breakdown. Thank you.